so that her waist seemed to disappear altogether. She shook her head. "Working? He does his best, love. We all do. But you're old enough to know times is hard. You just be in that queue early tomorrow. There'll be hundreds in front if you don't." "Is it really free?" Ruby was almost hoping Aunt Nancy would say no, and then she wouldn't have to even consider it. "Course it's free." "How come?" "It's the mission." As she made her way back upstairs to her brother's, Ruby tried to remember the last time she hadn't felt hungry. She couldn't, but whenever she complained about it to her father, Dodge Scully would remove his left sock and point to his misshapen big toe. "See that toe, gel? That toe will tell you all you need to know about hunger." "You don't know what hungry is, darling," he would say. And if she insisted she really did know, because she hadn't had any tea, he would wiggle his misshapen big toe at her, which would make her laugh for a moment, and then screw up her face in disgust, for it was an ugly toe without a nail, and resembled a squashed banana. Then he'd retell the tale she'd heard 100 times of a night during the war when, while he slept in a muddy trench, a rat had gnawed through Dodge Scully's boot and taken a bite out of his big toe. And when he'd woken up, he hadn't cared a jot about the pain in his toe because his stomach hurt more from the hunger. "That rat must have been bloody starving, Ruby, if he could face eating his way through my smelly old boot to dine on my cheesy toe. But I was hungrier than him." Eric insisted the story was a barefaced lie, that he'd heard Uncle Jim say Dodge had shot off half his big toe to escape the trenches. But Ruby would still feel bad about complaining that she'd had no tea. The one thing that made Dodge angry was having to accept charity, especially if it was church charity. It wasn't that he'd never been forced to accept a handout from the bun house. It was just that the very mention of charity was the tinder that sparked his normally happy-go-lucky temperament into rage, so the last place she'd be going tomorrow was the mission. She pushed open the kitchen door with her foot and gave the boys a triumphant smile. "See? I told you Ruby would find you something." Ruby woke up hungry. It was a hunger so fierce it had penetrated her dream of the fat rat that lived inside her and was gnawing its way out of her stomach. But just as the sharp teeth took another bite at her, she jolted herself awake. She sat up with the metallic taste of blood in her mouth. She had bitten her own lip. Groaning, she lay back down, tears beginning to trickle down her cheeks, pooling where her neck met the pillow. She rocked herself quietly. What was she going to do? Beside her, 2-year-old Davy slept peacefully, each breath puffing out his pink lips. His head rested on her shoulder, and she pushed aside the curling tendrils of dark brown hair from his forehead. He was a beautiful child, but sickly, with skinny arms and spindly legs that barely held his feather weight. The 3 Scully children slept, top and tailed, in one bed, and she edged aside Eric's smelly feet, which were on a level with her nose. They needed a good wash. She'd have to ask Dad for a 6pence for the Grange Road baths when he got home. She glanced at the long sash window, the rotten frame loose, and the curtains which had been threadbare even when Mum was alive, keeping out none of the cold. They blew in and out with every chilling gust of wind. Through the window she could see the bell tower of St. James's Church opposite. The bells were silent, resting. She always loved to hear them, chiming out hymn tunes on Sunday mornings or pealing for special services. The bells were so close that their ear-splitting tones would echo round their 3 small rooms, reverberating against the thin brick walls, setting sash windows trembling. She loved their sound. But she also loved it when they were resting. Great lumpen iron things set on massive